Hello, this is Sunil Tulsiani, founder of Private Investment Club. And today I have this special interview. Obviously, everybody that I interview, they're very special people. But today I want to tell you somebody who's been with me for more than 12 and a half years. We actually thought it was a lot less than that. We checked the dates, it was 12 and a half years. And the other great news, most of you who attended the Abundance Mastery event a couple of weeks ago, is that Larry is the 26th millionaire of Private Investment Club, 26th confirmed millionaire of Private Investment Club. So, Larry, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, Larry Cooper is a gentleman that had interesting career mindset, business way of doing businesses. He's a CFO, very, very interesting and intelligent man. And we've been trying to see how to get him to become wealthy. And finally, in 2022, when he sent me an email, he sent me proofs about what he's been able to do in real estate and everything like that. I promise you this interview is going to be inspiring for you, especially if you've been trying to do it. You're trying, and then you see a little results. You see no results. You see yourself going backwards. It's going to inspire you to go to the next level. Larry, once again, great to have you.
Well, my pleasure to be here, Sunil. Of course, I feel very proud to be the 26th millionaire in pick.
Awesome.
You may recall early on, I said, Sunil, I don't know when, I will be one of your millionaires.
Yes.
It took long, but we're here.
Yes, it did. And that's okay because, again, you're like that Chinese bamboo tree that needs to be watered, and 6 years later you see nothing, and then boom, one day you're there, right? So we see you now, boom, you're right, you're there again. So good to have you. And like you said, you'll be inspiration to anyone that's been persistent and wants to, has not seen the results. Let's say some people come to me and 2 months later and say, where's my results, right? Or 6 months later, where although there are people who immediately jump in and they see a result. We had a gentleman named Shashi last year. In less than 10 months, he made $1.1 million. So that happens. He beat my record. My record was $980,000. He made 1.1. We had David during COVID, again, within a year, more than $1.2 million. So whether you are listening to this interview because you want to be inspired and you want to make 2023 very successful, or somebody who's been trying for a long time, we're going to have a conversation with Larry, and we're going to talk about, it's going to be a raw conversation. I want you to pay attention and be inspired. And what's inspiration? Inspiration is motivation plus skills is inspiration, because you need both to go to the next level. So Larry, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and then we'll get into the interview. Go for it.
So like you, Sunil, I come from humble background. My father was a blue-collar worker, worked on the train. People, it's too long ago, but they used to sell pillows and sandwiches and what have you on the train, and that's what he did. And he was on the road a lot. And so my mom was the one who, to a large extent, brought us up. And in today's terms, my mom would have been a powerful businesswoman. But back then, the norm was to be a housewife. But she's one of my role models. She was very smart, and I learned a lot from her. So one of the things that my dad did inspire in me, being a man who only had a grade 10 education, was get an education. And that was something he pumped in our head all the time. And here's the first inspirational story. So the day I graduated from university, my dad had a stroke, and he was in a coma, and he'd been that way for about 3 months. And I went to visit him, and he was in a coma, and I tell him I graduated. And for those who want to know, people in coma can hear you just because they can't communicate. He died the next day. He was holding on, waiting to hear that I had fulfilled what he wanted to see, which was getting the education. So that's how powerful it meant to him. And obviously, I've lived with that the rest of my life, of how important it was. And I like to believe I've been a good student, and I have fulfilled his dream for me. And quite frankly, after that, another funny story, back then, When you went to the dentist, didn't have the cleanliness you have now. The way they were clean, they had you'd wash your hands. I always wash my hands. I thought I'd be a good dentist. Physics and chemistry said something different. So I was good at math, so I became an accountant, which was the natural thing. Long story short, I am obviously good at what I do. I became a CFO, a chief financial officer, since I was 30 years old. I have been in numerous companies as a CFO. Today, I am a CFO for hire. Rather than being in one company, I look to have a number of clients who basically I provide services on an as-need basis. And when I met Sunil back in 2010, I was on a track to say, I want to be more than an employee. I want to, quite frankly, accelerate my rate of income. Not that I made a bad income, but I was not satisfied. And so that's been the path and the journey that I've been on since that point in time. And frankly, there have been, as it comes to real estate, more downs than there have been ups, I'm sorry to say. But I've been reading Oz Mendino's book, and one of his scrolls is persist and you will succeed. And I guess I am a product of that I haven't given up. And regardless of the vehicle, be it real estate, I think what I can say to the audience is that the vehicle I have followed is believe in myself and be persistent and keep following. I forgot about it. I'm an author of a book called Red to Black.
Yes.
Secrets of the CFO to Run Your Business Successfully. And I didn't bring the book. So be that as it may, that was another example that happened 3 years ago that I wrote the book. And again, Sunil was the catalyst. We wrote a book called Achieve back about 5 years ago, where I was one of the contributors to the book. And then I got the inspiration to say, well, okay, I've started the journey. Let's do the whole thing. So I wrote a whole book on my own as part of my legacy. I never had children. And so that was one of my legacies to give back, is that it's a book for chief executive officers, presidents, of what you should know about finance and the finance team and finance as a function in your organization.
Sounds good. Okay, that's awesome. So if you're listening to Larry, we met 12 years ago. We were, like I said, we were discussing, thinking it was like 8 or 9 years ago. It's 12 years ago. And the Achieve book was not 5 years ago. It's a long time ago. But again, the point here is the Achieve book was written by with me, with Robert Allen and Larry and some of the other amazing entrepreneurs. And then he wrote his own full book to, of course, add value to people as well as to grow his business. So let me ask you your success formula, for example. So it took you a while, and the other day you sent an email with proof of you being the millionaire of Private Investment Club, because we have the goal of making 100 millionaires. And again, our goal is also slow, but it seems like it's now speeding up, where we are going to achieve our goal of making, the 100 millionaires. What is this? What is your secret to success? Go for it.
Well, I said a couple of things there a few minutes ago. First and foremost, you have to believe in yourself.
Okay.
I think you have to have confidence. Learn from others. Again, this is something, Sunil, you talk about a lot when you're speaking, that no one knows everything. Even yourself, been at it for, I think you said 17 years now. There's still what to learn, whatever aspect it is. And I have been through my CFO career, quite frankly, an avid student. I've been lucky enough to have wonderful bosses who became mentors. And one of the attributes that is very unique, I believe, to me, is I ask a lot of questions. That's how I learn. Some people get very annoyed with it. I got to be honest with you. They don't have the patience to answer the questions. The people who do, and this is words of my mentor, not me, he says, Larry, I like how you think. And typically, and this happens very much in my business practice, I'll meet a president and CEO, and I start asking some questions in the interest of getting to know their business. And ultimately, a couple of responses are something like, nobody ever asked me that. That's a good question, Larry. I need to think about that. I think you're onto something. So when people have the patience, Sunil, to answer the question, and this is the words of my mentor, saying, Larry, I love your mind because I connect the dots. And when the dots don't connect, that's when I have more questions. And invariably, the person who has more knowledge through my questioning, they connect different dots, but sort of at a higher level of where their business is at, or where it could be, or where it should be. And we have that interaction with me, keep asking them more questions and them pondering more. And I think that's certainly been one of the main factors in my success is I don't get, and this goes back to the persistence. I have a very curious mind to get to an answer. And when I'm not satisfied, I keep asking. And when people have the patience to keep answering, we end up at a very interesting and probably unique, valuable place. Um, as I say, I don't give up. I think that with my humble beginnings, I have maintained that. My men's group will make comments to me like, we use our last name, Cooper. Stop beating yourself up. Well, I don't take myself too seriously. I've been known as being very loud and very fun, and that's my persona. When I go to the gym first thing in the morning, I'll say, "Hello, Susan," and then, "Oh, I haven't had my coffee yet." So I like to have fun with people, and I enjoy interactions with people, and people make the world go round. And those are all parts of success. I mean, be it networking for a purpose or just to meet people and get to know them.
Right. And you started, you said something about personal growth, as we were starting the interview. Talk about that because I know you're very passionate about that.
Well, I am, Sunil. I've found that I think it was a real turning point in that period of time that I met you. I was also in an organization that was very much focused on personal growth. And I've probably been a really unique student over this last decade plus of, reading the classics, be it, Think and Grow Rich, be it, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those types of books, which, as we say, are the classics, but then the newer ones, you've written a number of books and others have. And I'm constantly on the lookout of how do I improve myself?
Right.
And it's something that I'm a student of feedback. In my work, I was one of the few people that, again, my boss would say, "Larry, you sure you want to hear this?" I'd say, "Yeah." Well, it's not good news. That's okay. How do I improve if I don't know what it is and what I'm attempting to improve to? So it's nice to get compliments, but I think it's better when people care enough about you to say, "Here's something you could do better. Here's something where you could grow," or whatever the issue may be, and being candid with you about it to help you. And so I can't speak to why I'm like that, Sunil. I just know that I am. And it's something that I certainly believe I impart to when I have staff and or clients, that I'm always seeking of how can we do this better? How can we do it faster? How can we be more productive? How can we make more money at it? Whatever the case may be, that's sort of what drives me to feel that I'm successful and adding value.
Awesome. Now that you brought that up, talked about the word success, what is success to you?
Well, a lot of people say, how much money have I got? How big a car have I got? How big a house have I got? I think in simple terms for myself, anyway, are you happy? Are you happy in your personal life? Are you happy with who you are as a person? Are you happy in your relationship? Are you happy with your family? Those are the things, quite frankly, that drive me. And I'm not a person, again, probably again, because of the humble beginnings. It doesn't take a lot to satisfy me. When I'm amongst friends, family, and whether we're talking politics, whether we're watching a sporting event, that's what gives me the greatest pleasure. And I think at the end of the day, not to make a trite statement, but if I feel good about myself, if I like where I'm at, if I like who I'm with, I'm happy. Life is good. I'm healthy, thank God. So those are the important things to me. That's what success is to me. The other things, whether you travel, as I say, whether you have jewelry, whether you have fancy cars, whether you have art, I'm not knocking any of those things. But for me personally, it's not that important.
What is important to you in let's say 5 years from now? Is this because in order to have some of the relationships and in order for you to live your lifestyle that you want and all that, there are other outer things, there are inner things. So the emotional needs, we got your physical, we got your psychological, we got your mindset, heart set, soul set. What else is success to you?
Oh, it's funny you asked me that. I'm having a retreat with my group this weekend. And so we are in exactly that frame of mind, Sunil, to do our 1, 5, and 10-year goals. And I'm at a stage in my career that I am probably starting to taper down the CFO work and this work that I'm doing, which I'm sure we'll talk about momentarily about this group of CFOs. That's really inspired. That's enlightened what I thought was my passion. I love to teach. I love to mentor. I love to share. I like to take all this knowledge that I've worked so hard to get and share it with other people. And that's exactly what I'm doing with this group, where I'm lead a group of CFOs. So 5 years from now, that's what I expect will be more the dominant part of my life. And I hope, like you, 100 millionaires. Well, for me, it's have a number of groups, be very influential in this organization that I'm in, and feeling that I'm making a difference for people that I'm associating with, that I'm helping them elevate their game to be better leaders, to be better CFOs, to be better contributors in their company.
Okay, so when you say you want to help or influence or help them grow, what is it that you're helping? What makes you happy when somebody that you're helping does what? What is it? What are you looking for?
I think it's when they have that epiphany for them of they're stretching themselves, they're growing, they're going down the path rather than being complacent or content of where they're at. They're taking on some challenges, or more simply, as a first point, is they're recognizing a solution to a challenge that they were stuck on. And so that's how they're growing to the next stage of whatever that may be. And whether it's a new job, whether it's a better job within the organization, whether it's contributing something within their organization, that they feel they're not just going through the motions, so to speak, and that they are delivering in the same way that I want to deliver value. I want to help them deliver value in whatever their audience is.
Okay. Other than business and your coaching business, what makes Larry? What makes you happy? What makes you happy other than like we just talked about, like your personal life?
Well, I love to talk politics.
Okay.
No one's ever right, but it's fun debating it.
Okay.
Particularly with Trump around, there's no lack of debate. I've started, the lady of my life loves to travel. So she has, there's another example of being pushed out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to Thailand the last 2 weeks in November.
Right.
So I'm starting to travel, unlike I certainly had earlier in my life. And I think I'm probably just much more content with on the one hand, I'm saying I'm constantly chasing, learning, and developing and improving. On the other hand, I don't lie awake at night about it. I think I'm a very satisfied person within my own skin of who I am, and I think most people who come in contact with me say Larry's a likable person, which I do work hard at being likable, and that gives me pleasure to meet people, to talk with people, to meet people, and just live life, whatever that may mean. For me, it's, my day is about exercise and about eating well and about, sports and politics and going on some travel and helping others. That pretty much fills the day.
All right. Well, okay, let me ask you this. You heard the term plurking. Not many people have heard that, although it's become somewhat of a movement all over the world. And plurking stands for playing and working, or having fun and growing, having fun and making money, having fun and impacting. It's basically a movement like that. The idea is that you are on this planet, you're contributing, you're impacting, and at the same time you're succeeding, and you define your success. So so my question for you is, what would, if you were like 8 years old, I mean, when I ask you if you're 8 years old and I would say, hey, what do you like to do that's going to be fun? You'd be like, oh, I like to do this. What would be at this age, Larry, that one thing that is like you love to do? It doesn't matter what it is, like you just love to do.
Well, I love working out. I love taking care of my body. I love being physically fit.
Okay.
My lady and I went up to Rattlesnake Conservation Park on the weekend. We've never done this much. We walked 15 miles on our hike. So,
nice.
Thank goodness I'm in physical condition to do that, and we enjoyed it.
And if you want to tell us, how old are you?
68.
68. Wow. Congratulations. You've called me a mentor for the last 12 and a half years. You became a member of Private Investment Club. You became the millionaire of Private Investment Club. You wrote 2 books, one of them with me and Robert Allen, the other one on your own. You said that inspired you to do that. So my question to you is how important, and now you yourself are coach, so how important are mentors? Go for it.
I would not be where I am, Sunil, certainly in terms of my career, without mentors. I think I've mentioned a bit today that one of the things that I do is I probably turn almost every boss into a mentor. And what I mean by that is obviously there's certain work that has to get done. But once we've established a camaraderie, so to speak, and they have confidence in me to fulfill the job, then I start looking to them of, please help me advance to the next level of my own skill set. And I had said earlier that I'm a student of feedback, and I won't wait for the formal annual work performance review. As an example, if I did a presentation, I'd be right in the boss's office as soon as possible. How did I do? What could I do better? What did I do well? And that's been a constant mainstay in my work career, throughout my work career. And as I have moved jobs a number of times, and I've been lucky enough to have one of my grateful statements that I say to myself every day, Sunil, is I'm grateful for, and I think there's 12 mentors that I could name in my life over the period. And it's kind of like I changed jobs. Okay, I have a new boss. All right. Within 6-12 months, I consider them a mentor. And most of my bosses fall into that category. A few didn't. So I don't want to say it's a perfect world, but most of them did. And I can't, we always talk about, particularly us as coaches, does an athlete not have a coach?
Exactly.
And people kind of snicker at it. But you know what? I see it now. I see it in my men's group. I see it with the CFO group. There's so many venues. And again, use what words you like. The point of it is, are you open to feedback? Are you looking for it? Are you looking to improve yourself? Put yourself in an environment that allows that to happen. And it could be your best friend. Don't talk about the hockey game. Talk about something serious that you can share with each other, and that, everybody's got an opinion, but does everybody have an opinion that may stimulate you into something else? And I think that's where you want to look for. Again, let's not get hung up on the title. If it's a mentor, it's a coach, it's a colleague. The point of it is, are you open to feedback? And are you going to do something with it? That to me is the most important part. But I do think it's essential for anybody who wants to improve themselves.
Exactly. And in any area of their lives, right? It's not money. It's any area of your life. We always look for it. When I was a police officer, first thing, you come back from police college, what did you do? Well, they hired you a coach officer. Well, that coach officer is going to be with you. You can be guided in that area. And if somebody wants to lose 20 pounds, a mentor is going to help you. You want to build muscle, mentor is going to help you. Coach is going to help you. And so let's talk about these uncertain times, actually. Let's talk about that, and we will end it after this. During these uncertain times, we're now in basically almost in November of 2023. We're almost in the November of 2022, going into 2023. And there are a lot of issues, post-pandemic issues, health issues, anxiety issues, relationship issues. Some people have income, business, job losses, global crisis like what's happening in UK, Europe, China, what happened in Sri Lanka, for example, and many other countries. And now we in Canada, United States, officially or unofficially, we're in recession. So there's a lot of stress going on. What should people do in going into 2023 to be successful?
Well, I think one of the first and most important points is, I'll use the word, be prudent. This isn't a time to go crazy with, some people may go, oh, real estate's down, let's jump in. Now, if you know what the hell you're doing, okay. Second part of my point would be your tolerance for risk. Some people have, I admit, I don't have a stomach for it, and I'm much more conservative, and especially a lot depends also where you're at in your life. I've said I'm 68. If I'm 30 years old, it's a much different landscape. If I do fail, I got a lot of time. I got a lot of runway to make it up. I don't. So I don't want to screw up $1 million that I've been able to accumulate. So I think you need to be honest with yourself. And as the saying goes, don't let your eyes be bigger than your stomach. Just because real estate's down 20% doesn't mean, oh, I just need to find a bargain and let's go buy it. This would be a perfect time, Sunil, to talk about, all right, I'm not saying not to do it. This is a perfect time. You must have a mentor. And one of the things that we didn't talk about, one of the things a mentor does for you, if it's the right mentor, make sure that they have done what it is you want to do. And this is the point of, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you want to be a real estate investor and earn $1 million from real estate, go talk to Sunil. He's done it. Don't talk to me. Unfortunately, I have not done it. I got a lot of knowledge, but I'm not going to be the person when has the cojones when you sit there and got to sign that check and say whether you should or you shouldn't, even though intellectually I probably know the answer. I haven't got the track record. You do. And so that's very important in whom you associate with to do whatever it is you want to do. Go to the gym. You go look for a trainer who weighs 300 pounds? No, you look for the guy who's buffed and obviously looks like he walks the talk. So I think that's first and foremost the most important thing in these times is mimic the people who are successful. Yes. Talk to the people, listen to the people who are successful. I mean, you can sit from sun up till sundown, Sunil. You can listen to Robert Kiyosaki. You can listen to Ray Dalio. You can listen to all kinds of people, and they're all smart people. They know what they're talking about. Are you going to listen? Are you going to apply what they say? If you're not, what are you listening for? But more importantly, you take the action after you've listened to a few of these experts of what they tell you to do. Casting myself as somewhat of an expert, this is a time, I believe, to be very cautious. This is a time, if you haven't done personal budgeting, do it. Figure out what is your cash flow in, what are your expenses out, what can you cut out, what can you make sure that you are at least, this is not a time to be going into debt, unless it's investment debt and you're doing it with, again, with a mentor and very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about it. But if you're just living your life and you want to be careful, then be prudently careful. Have a budget, don't overspend, be cautious. Unfortunately, we're seeing a time, you kind of touched on it, Sunil. On the one hand, a few months ago, we're talking about an employee job market. We're talking about the fact that the employees are commanding the market. And now some people are starting to say there's going to be a lot of job cuts. And I feel very badly for people if that happens to them. Notwithstanding that, I do still think it's an employee market because the smart companies are going to grab up the good people. So on the one hand, value your job. On the other hand, if there are opportunities, you should be out looking for them because you are in demand if you are good.
Yes.
This is not a time to be complacent. We've talked a lot about personal development. Own your skills, whatever they may be. If you're a carpenter and electrician, go back to school or do some online courses. Like improve yourself so that you command and make yourself that much more valuable, which no guarantee, but gives a better sense of protecting you in whatever your sphere is. I mean, if you're a plumber in a big company of plumbers and they start having less work, who do you think is the first on the chopping block is the person who's less valuable, delivers less value, doesn't seem to work as hard. This is not the time to get complacent, quite frankly. This is the time to up your game.
Exactly. Sharpen your axe right now.
Sharpen the axe, yeah.
And as at the last Wealth Mastery event with Robin Sharma, that some of the things I talked about is that what Larry's talking about, remember, he's also a CFO, so he's going to talk about being careful and all that stuff. But there are things that during these bad times, our upcoming uncertain times, global meltdown, which I've been through in 2008, that you can do with little or no risk as well, because there are things you can do in real estate where you're not taking that risk, or at least big risk. There are even times where you're taking very, very little risk. For example, if you're getting into where you're helping people with anxiety, for example, stress levels and weight losses and health issues and all that stuff, it's going to be a gold mine for a lot of people because you're going to be helping these people, because we have clients. Customers are basically waiting to ask you, help me out. If you're helping people make money, if you're helping people grow their income, grow their business, grow their mindset, heart set, soul set, physical sets, you're doing any of these things in 2023. And if you don't know it, go get your skills right now. Study it. Read a book if you don't have lots of money, for example. You can start with $20, or you can spend $2,000 or to $20,000, depending upon where, what level of education you're getting and who you're getting from. But the main thing is that what you're talking about, Larry, is that you became recently a Millionaire Private Investment Club, and during the good times, the strategies are different. During not so good times, strategies are different, and during the upcoming not so good time, strategies are completely different. So I just wanted to add a little bit of value for all the listeners and people are going to watch this. Thousands of people are going to watch this interview. Larry, just before we finish off, briefly for a minute or so, just tell us what you do and how do people get hold of you.
So I do two things. We've talked a lot about I'm a CFO, a Chief Financial Officer. And so I typically service owner-manager businesses that are private, that are, say, over at least $10 million in revenue, that have an accounting department already. So I'm not coming in to do the accounting. I'm coming in to be that financial confidant with an owner-manager. I might have one call a week, and this is where I don't want to call it coaching per se, but at the end of the day, that's probably what it is, of talking issues with him or her, giving me ideas, that sort of thing. So certainly anybody who's an entrepreneur like that with a business of that size, I'd be happy to help you out. The second thing I do is I've talked about this group of CFOs. So I'm in an organization called McKay CEO Forums. And we're an organization that by and large is a learning organization for executives who want to up their game, who want to bring more value into their company. And so I created a group 2 years ago of just CFOs. And I do have some few spots in my group. And this is about peer-to-peer learning and being supported by your peers and growing together and delivering more value both for yourself and for your company.
Sounds good. And what we're going to do is we're going to add Larry's information in the. In fact, why don't you tell us how do people get a hold of you very quickly?
Very quickly. So I have a website, and it's Red to Black, and that's REDTO BLACK CFO.com. So redtoblackcfo.com. And my email is larry@redtoblackcfo.com. And my phone number is 416-818-4217.
All right. Larry, amazing having you. Thank you for this interview.
And my pleasure, Sunil.
We'll reconnect and have lots of fun. And once again, congratulations for being the Millionaire of Private Investment Club. Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Sunil. Couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.